Hello, this is Dr. Lyn Barrow. Are you a Muzzie? Are you a life faker and not a life taker or life maker? If you are, then this tape is especially for you. Well, who are the Muzzies? Muzzies are people who, by dwelling in the past or by putting off or waiting for the future, miss out on living successfully the only time that they can really live, in the present, now. Muzzies fall into different categories. One is comprised of if-onlys, another of the what-ifs, and then there are the whens, the or-buts, that's AW, or but you can do it and I can't, and the I can'ts. The members of each of these categories tend to waste that most important of all of life's situations, now time. Let me illustrate how they do this. The if-onlys are self-defeating because they spend so much time ruminating sadly on what might have been, what might have happened, what they should have done. I'm sure you've heard them. If only I'd finished school. If only I'd taken that other job, studied or worked harder. If only I'd listened to Stephen, or what Gloria told me to do. If only I hadn't married so-and-so. If only I had done economics, or moved to the city, or not become tied up with Sid. If only I hadn't lost my temper, and so on and on. It's useful and constructive, of course, to do things like analyse the past. It's very useful to profit from the past. What went wrong there? Why didn't this succeed? Why was I so happy then? In this way, the past can help us. But to dwell on the unhappy past, to dwell on the misgivings of the past, is a way to be defeated by it. Because an excess of unhappy feelings, an excess of unhappy memories, will inevitably colour the present and so lead to anxiety, apprehension and doubt. This can lead to undue anxiety and apprehension about the future. But you see, this is just what Muzzies do. They let the bad things of the past colour both their present and their future. What we should all be doing is seeing each day as a new challenge and a new beginning. We could all make a new start today. Whatever the past, we can make a new start today. It's all right, of course, to look back on the happy past. That's fine. But to spend much of our lives trying to relive, to recapture those special times, this can become negative and even disturbing, especially if by doing this we neglect the present. So what I'm saying in short is this: we can be defeated by the past if we let this happen. Our aim should be to profit from the past, to use it for the lessons that it's taught us, and to use it for its pleasant memories, and so live more effectively and more happy today. Nothing that we do should deny the existence of the present. The important time is now. Another group of Muzzies live their todays in the future, and in most cases this is not even a happy future or something to look forward to. No, these people are the what-ifs. Their futures are filled with uncertainties, and they're experts at worrying about what might happen. What if it rains? What if I fail? What if he doesn't like me, or my report isn't accepted? What if I make a fool of myself, or the bus is late, or it gets dark before we're home? What if the dinner is spoiled? And so the what-ifs go on and on. These are the worriers, the people who meet problems before they arrive, and who are so often defeated by things that never happen. On the other hand, looking with purpose to the future, looking forward to it, planning for it, and having goals. These sorts of things are fine and constructive. They're necessary. And in this context, it's important to realise the difference between worry and concern, and that's a most important difference. The latter, concern, should be useful and constructive. The former, worry, is useless and defeating. It's important to have goals in the future, some short-term goals and others for the long term. But we must look forward to attaining these and not worry about them. Now we come to the whens, people who are procrastinators and who would rather dream than do. Whens are always waiting for something to happen, and they have the illusion that when this does happen, everything in their life will fall into place. Everything will be okay when I go back to New Zealand, or when I get married, when the summer comes, when I get out of this place. And of course, for most whens, everything will be perfect when I win the lottery. Because so much of their time is committed to the future, whens lack the capacity for the full enjoyment and the enthusiasm that they should have for now, for today. They lack the realisation that by being enthusiastic about today and making the best of it, they will be so much better tomorrow, when the magic comes, or whatever tomorrow brings. All buts are excuse makers who resist change because they feel that it's safer to stay the way they are. All buts are very good at living their yesterdays over and over again, and at refusing the challenges that each new day should bring. By refusing new directions, they somehow think that they can prevent problems or failure. Basically, they're stick-in-the-muds, who in their efforts to maintain the status quo miss some of the most enjoyable of human experiences, things like enthusiasm, creativity, and the joy of achievement that we can have now. You've all seen how they maintain the status quo. Oh, but you can cope. But you're better equipped, or you're more adequate, or but you're better educated, or but I've always liked it here. You're younger than I am. I've got too much on my plate. Need I go on? By bogging down, as the all buts do, we eventually lose not only the desire, but the ability to use new knowledge, new thoughts, and new materials. I can'ts are among life's greatest losers. Basically, they don't like themselves, they don't trust themselves, and they have no faith in themselves. Their negative attitude is often the result of an unhappy childhood in which feelings and the need to express were stifled. Sometimes people are taught to be I can'ts by a form of conditioning. This often happens to girls in this way. They develop this attitude. I can't because I'm a girl. I can't because I'm a woman. This is an attitude that must change to become this one. Because I'm a woman, I can. Because I'm a girl, I can. Because I am a person of worth, I can. I believe that I can'ts can change, as I believe that all Muzzies can change to become life makers rather than life fakers. They can stop deluding themselves. I sincerely believe this, though obviously the amount of change will vary. This will depend on a number of things. How bogged down each person has become, how much each individual wants to change, how strong is the motivation to change, and how much effort each person is prepared to make in order to effect this change. One of the most important things that a lifetime of working in human behaviour has taught me is the extent to which human beings can change. If they put their minds to it, if they are shown the way, and if they allow time. And belief in their own power is very important. I meet a lot of muzzies in my work, but only a small percentage of them believe that they have the power and resources to better themselves. Yet this is absolutely true. They do have this power, and they do have these resources, though in most cases, of course, they have to be shown how to use them. The basic problem with muzzies is their thinking. So many of their thoughts are bow-legged, ill-proportioned, twisted if you like. And one of the first essentials in effecting a change and improvement is a realisation of this. And I hope that what I've said so far will help towards this realisation. Another important realisation is this one. The extent to which distorted and negative thoughts can rule and indeed ruin our lives. For example, how much unwarranted anger, anxiety, hatred, tension and worry arise purely from thoughts. And I don't have to say what sort of damage things like hatred, tension and hostility can do. Thoughts can be a major problem. And in fact, I will go so far as to say this. Negative and destructive thoughts can become a far greater health hazard than smoking, obesity, and a high-fat diet, all combined. And I believe this very sincerely. At times our thoughts and images can become all-powerful. Let me give a few examples, and admittedly, these will be rather extreme cases. Look what the thoughts that arise from pointing the bone or the self-fulfilling prophecy can do. I once read about a man who was locked in a cool chamber and who was found the next day literally frozen to death, despite the fact that, unknown to him, the power had been turned off. I've read several accounts of people who died after being bitten by cobras, despite the fact that the snake's venom glands had been removed. I could go on and on. When the movie Lawrence of Arabia, with all those hot desert scenes, was going the rounds of the cinemas, it was commonly reported that the sales of drinks at these theatres more than doubled. Our hospital beds are filled with people who are there because of their thoughts. Another important realisation and awareness is this one. I am a Muzzie and I plan to better my life. I acknowledge the realisations that I've just heard, and I acknowledge especially the importance of doing things like differentiating between worry and concern, seeing my future in terms of planning, goals and challenges, and not in terms of worries or what might happen, and perceiving myself as a person of worth, as adequate and capable. I have the desire to change, I can, and I will. And on the other side, I will give some precise advice on how to make these important changes. So will you please fast forward and then turn over. Now to some practical techniques in effecting change for the better. The first step is to learn some basic mind control techniques so that these can be used both as thought stoppers and to change the direction of thoughts. we'll learn 3 basic techniques designed to give you control of those negative thoughts. Until these skills are working effectively, and in fact after that as well, it's important to do as much practice as you can. And for a while, try to practice in a quiet environment where you won't be disturbed. Now you can try this now as I speak if you can. Sit comfortably with the hands heavy on the lap, the spine straight, and the head erect and not slumped. Now a word about your breathing. The best breathing is tummy breathing. When you're doing this properly, the lower part of the ribs and the tummy, where the ribs join the tummy, that part should expand when you breathe in. Just try it now. Put the hand there and breathe in. Breathe through the nostrils, not too deeply, but in an easy, relaxed way. The second important point is to be as passive as possible and to do the minimum that you have to achieve the desired effects. So, sitting in the practice position, in a quiet environment, just let the eyes close under the weight of the lids. And now try watching your breathing. That is, keeping your mind on your breath as it flows in and out of the nostrils. Focus on this and nothing else. Practice this for a short time now, just following the breath as it flows in and out. In a moment, we'll turn to 2 specific breathing techniques. But before doing that, let me say something about distracting thoughts. During practice sessions, and especially during early practices, thoughts are likely to intrude. You will find that your mind will run away, or you will find that you're thinking about something entirely different. Thoughts will do their best to distract you. When this happens, remember these 2 most important things. What is happening is quite normal and to be expected, especially in early practices. And secondly, and even more important, thoughts can only harm you if you succumb to them, if you give in to them, if you let them. So the most important thing about interfering or distracting thoughts is not to worry about them. When thoughts arise, do nothing active with them. It's a mistake, and in fact impossible, to try to dismiss them or to do anything forcible. Simply don't dialogue with those thoughts. Just return your mind to your breathing and let the thoughts pass. Remember that your mind can be still and not necessarily be empty. And with practice, unwanted thoughts and mind wandering will become less and less. But meanwhile, the important thing is not to worry. Just return quietly to your breathing. Some meditators cope with interruptions and distractions by relaxing their bodies and then returning to their meditation again. So in short, don't dialogue with the thoughts that try to distract you. Just let them pass. Detach yourself from them. That's a word that I want you to keep uppermost in mind. Detach. I can detach myself from these thoughts. I can detach myself from any unwanted thoughts. And remember that detach is a word to keep uppermost in mind. Now, rather than see yourself as unable or incapable, start to perceive yourself as adaptable and capable of making this very important detachment. It may take time to do this as effectively as you would like, but you can make a start right away. Detach yourself from unwanted thoughts, from things like worry and anxiety, and you'll achieve good results all the sooner if you practice regularly and with devotion and belief. Now to the techniques that will help you in becoming detached from unwanted thoughts, from misgivings about the past, from worry about the future, and from feelings of inadequacy. Sit in the practice position with eyes closed under the weight of the lids and become mindful of your breathing. Remember to breathe through the nostrils and use tummy breathing. Just follow the easy, relaxed breathing in and out. And now as you are breathing in, think this phrase, "My mind is calm." And as you are breathing out, this one, "My mind is free." As you're breathing in, think and begin to feel, "My mind is calm." And as you're breathing out, think and feel, "My mind is free." You can think the words as you are breathing in or nearing the end of the in-breath, and so on the out-breath. Just experiment a little to see which approach requires the least effort. Remember that being as passive as possible is par for the course here. Just have a short practice now. On the in-breath, "My mind is calm." And on the out-breath, "My mind is free." Another useful technique for controlling thoughts and for quietening the mind is to first become mindful of your breathing, just as you've been doing. Just follow the relaxed breath in and out, and now become aware that as the breath enters and leaves the nostrils, it creates a slight sensation in the nostrils as the breath flows in and out. Just try that now and become aware of that sensation. Now focus your whole awareness on this sensation as the breath flows in and out. Just become aware of the sensation of the breath, of that and nothing else. And once again, if thoughts enter the mind, or the mind wanders or runs away, remember the golden rule, not to worry. Thoughts can only hurt me if I give in to them, if I succumb to them. So follow the procedure that we've already outlined and return gently to your breathing, and this time to the sensation of the breath. When you understand clearly through practice just what is involved in each of these breathing techniques, it's best to practice each one separately and to do this until you have a clear appreciation of the one that seems best for you. And again, I must stress how important practice is. Look forward to practice sessions and enjoy them. You may care to use one technique exclusively after you've learned them, or perhaps use one predominantly and the other occasionally, or do as some people do, to use each technique but on different occasions. But whatever you do, the secret of success is practice. Practice without striving or trying, but practice with devotion and belief. The next special skill is a non-breathing one. This is using the word calm as some meditators use a mantra. Just say the word calm aloud several times and note its vibrations. Calm, 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 calm. Now you try just saying this in a continuous way so that that word calm just occupies the mind. Calm, 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 calm. But it's important that you develop your own skill and not a pace of allowing that word to fill the mind modelled on me. The important thing is to let the word flow through the mind so that it just occupies it. Just have a short practice now, saying the word calm aloud and just letting it do that. Occupy your mind. When you become quite expert at this, you'll find that the word calm will flow through your mind in an effortless way. And when you reach that stage, stop sounding the word. Don't say it aloud anymore, but just let it flow through the mind silently. Flowing through the mind and occupying the mind silently. Again, the secret of success is practice. Practice without striving or effort, but practice done with devotion and belief, and look forward to practice sessions. And remember that when using calm as a mantra, you do not give any mindfulness to your breathing. In summary then, look forward to practice sessions, enjoy them, and perceive them for what they are, things of importance, special situations that will help you to achieve something very worthwhile, in personal growth. Practice these special skills as many times a day as you can, and shortly you should be able to control those twisted thoughts, those crooked thoughts that have been making you a Muzzie. Now when you find yourself returning to the unhappy past or dwelling on mistakes that you've made, just think silently, stop, and return to one of your special breathing skills until your mind is clear. Do the same thing when you are beginning to worry. And here let me remind you once more that being concerned about something, planning, analysing, gaining new knowledge, revising, reviewing, collating, these things are all fine because they can be constructive and useful. But when you find that you've moved away from those things and you are actually just worrying, remember that this is something negative and useless. So once again, when you're doing that, think stop, turn to one of your thought control techniques, breathing or using calm as a mantra, and redirect your mind to something else, something that is a now thing. Do something else now. What-ifs are among the most efficient worriers of all, so the need to change applies especially to them. Now, if you are a what-if, as soon as you find yourself involved in what I could call a what-if session, you know what to do to stop. Take every opportunity to practice and keep reminding yourself that the end result is worth it. The same applies to the whens. If you find yourself dwelling on that miracle, that maybe thing in the future, the thing that will make everything all right, think stop. Control those thoughts and turn to a new activity. Do something that you enjoy. Read something. Take a short walk. Do something different. But do it now. Keep up the good work. Eventually you will be successful. Remember that in all practices there is no such thing as a pass or a fail. Don't ever regard anything that you do as a failure. There is only continued improvement. Improvement savoured usually by a few ups and downs. But don't worry about these. Everybody has them. Allow time and picture yourself as ultimately successful. Think along these lines. Every day, every week, every month, I will be better and better. Have faith in yourself. Awareness is very important, and you are now conscious of the negative ways that you have been thinking, and you are also conscious of how disadvantaging this can be. By being aware as you are, and by using the techniques that you've learned consistently, you will learn how to let go of the unhappy past, be rid of misgivings about past failures and so on, and you'll learn how to have no truck with worries about the future. By turning your mind to the present, by having a new and very clear realisation that this, the present, is the only time that you can really live, and it's the only time that you can be happy, you will have achieved something very important. Now you will find that the times that you want to think, oh, when, or say, oh, but you can, or say, I can't, you will find that all these times are becoming less and less, because you have achieved a different perspective. When the mind is calm, is also a good time to reflect on your inner resources, your strengths. Now you can accept yourself better. So when you are feeling pleasantly relaxed, reflect along these lines. I value myself as a person, and I am a better and happier person today than I was yesterday, because more and more I am becoming a now person. This way I can make my life more constructive, and I can take control of my life. To ignore the present as the most important time in my life is to become a prisoner of my own making. Every day, try to make affirmations along these lines. Instead of dwelling in the past or the unhappy future, or seeing myself as unable, I am now a today person who is able. Every day I will try to strengthen my mind, and I will be prepared to try new things. The most important thing that I have is not money, but time. I have the time to be happy today, now, and I choose to be happy now, even as I listen to this tape. And now my best wishes to you, hoping that you will accept and act fully on some very succinct advice that was given by an ancient Roman many, many years ago. And he gave this in just 2 words. Carpe diem. Grasp this day and make the most of it.